Hey everybody, and welcome back to my Star Wars series. Today's review is on pretty much the best film of the prequels, the watchable one, Revenge of the Sith. So the film takes place approximately 3 years after the last film, and the Clone Wars are starting to slowly end. In the film, Obi-Wan Kenobi is actually chasing after the leader of the droid army, General Grievous, and all during this time, Anakin Skywalker is actually getting closer and closer to Chancellor Palpatine, even to the point where Palpatine admits to Anakin that he is the Sith Lord that they've been looking for, Darth Sidious. And at this point, Anakin has to decide where his loyalty lies, whether it's with the Jedi Order or Palpatine. So before I actually get into the review, I do have to say, this is the film that we were waiting for ever since the prequel started. This is the film where it shows the fall of Anakin Skywalker and the rise of Darth Vader. This is, like I said, this is what we've been waiting for the entire time. Of course, the cast is still the same from Attack of the Clones, so honestly, I'm not going to talk too much in detail about them. I'm just going to get it out of the way. Hayden Christensen's still horrible, but he does have more redeeming qualities, especially when he's not talking. He actually looks menacing whenever he's just looking at things. Ewan McGregor is absolutely fantastic as Obi-Wan Kenobi, and actually he got even better in this film. He feels more like the Sir Alec Guinness old Ben that we all know and love. He's starting to slowly become him. Natalie Portman is still horrible in this film. Wooden, monotone, forced acting, all that shit. Ian McDiarmid as Chancellor Palpatine is still great, and you even get to see him become the Emperor, and it's actually a lot of fun when he actually becomes the Emperor. And then, of course, Samuel L. Jackson as Mace Windu. Mace Windu is still the personification of exposition in this film. This film was also the very first Star Wars film to be PG-13, so going into it, I'm like, yay, some people are gonna die, there's gonna be explosions, heads are gonna cut off. I was excited. As far as the CGI, I actually just rewatched the film yesterday. I hadn't watched it in maybe 5 years, and immediately the first thing that I see is that the CGI has gotten better. It was way better just in the opening scene than in all of Attack of the Clones. And just seeing space in that space battle, they actually captured the depth, and it still looks good to this day. Now, of course, when they actually go into the blue/green screen rooms and they're just talking to each other, and certain characters are pretending to talk towards something, look towards something, or Mace Windu's talking to some inanimate or some fucking CGI character that's not there, it gets awful again. It looks fucking god awful. Now, the film still has a bit of problem with dialogue, especially in the opening scenes. Most of the lines can come across as wooden and forced. But like I said, the dialogue actually did improve compared to the first two, but it kind of hurts me to say this. The prequels, any of them, including this film, don't have the spontaneity, the feeling of spontaneity, I mean, like the original trilogy did. Everything still feels like it's being controlled behind the scenes by some puppet master who's like, look over here at the right time, say this at the right time, say it in this way. The musical score in this film is actually the best of the prequels. My only problem with it is that it doesn't have that one track that sticks out for me. Not like Phantom Menace did with Duel of Fates. One of the things about pretty much any Star Wars film that I will always hold in high regard, because I don't think that they'll ever mess this up, is sound design. And this film actually has the best sound design of any of the prequel movies. And one of my favorite moments just with sound design was where Anakin has Dooku on his knees getting ready to execute him with both his lightsaber and Dooku's. And just when he cuts off his head, just the sound that it makes. It was like, to me, it was like a wind just escaping the entire area. It was beautiful. One thing that I was actually happy about in this film were the lightsaber battles. Well, it mostly comes and goes for me. It'll be like in certain lightsaber battles, including the climactic one at the end between Obi-Wan and Anakin, there's certain parts in that I don't care about, where it just looks like they're flailing around each other with lightsabers. But there was actually an emotional element to all of this, because we'd seen them grow as people and go from being master and apprentice to being the bestest of friends. And it especially helps when you actually watch the Clone Wars series, like I did. It actually made the entire relationship that more emotional and compelling, that when they were actually fighting, I could actually feel it. I remembered all the moments where their friendship blossomed, and it honestly hurt me watching the newest time, or I don't know what that wording was. But definitely my favorite lightsaber battle in this entire film is the one between Obi-Wan intermittently and Anakin and Dooku. Which I said intermittently for Obi-Wan because, I mean, he's not really in the fight for too long. It's mainly between Anakin and Dooku. And that lightsaber battle was better than pretty much every single fight in the prequels. Sure, I would say maybe the Maul and Kenobi fight was just a little bit higher, but I actually hold this one in high regard because it was emotionally compelling, because it actually made sense. Like, you could actually feel the emotion in the entire battle, because originally in Attack of the Clones, Dooku and Anakin were just fighting, and it looked like an art film. They were just twirling lightsabers. Nothing was really happening. There was no emotion in their faces. This one, you could tell Anakin was pissed. I mean, he lost his arm to this guy. He wants murder. Now, I'm going to do something a little bit different with this review. I'm actually going off of notes just now. I didn't even go off of a script. I'm starting using notes right at this moment. And all I did were make, like, bullet points on certain things of the film that I liked and disliked. And I'm mainly going to go in a random order of, you know, and tell you how I feel about them. Starting with the opening scene, the entire opening scene from the crawl all the way to when Anakin and Kenobi land on Coruscant in that giant droid cruiser. That entire segment, which I think was about maybe at the most 20 minutes or so long, that entire scene was better than the entirety of Attack of the Clones. And I just had to point that out. I love that scene. I can actually, if I wanted to, I would just repeat it for days. That signature Star Wars humor actually comes back in this film. I especially loved the banter between Obi-Wan and Anakin. Sure, there are some parts where the lines are a little shitty, but, I mean, what can you expect? It's George Lucas. I mean, he couldn't fix everything all in one film. And there was that one scene where R2 is floating in the air. He shoots oil all over the floor and uses his the frickin' rocket little things on his arms, or legs, whatever they are, to light the oil on fire in order to set the droids on fire. And I love that scene. It is fucking funny. One other thing that I loved about this series was General Grievous. I thought he looked really good, and for those of you who don't know, he was actually an original character from the Clone Wars micro-series, which is not the same as the TV show that I actually reviewed. This one looks more like an anime, and it's not canon, but there's one part in the anime, or not, it's not really an anime, but you get what I mean. In the micro-series, there's a part where Mace Windu reaches out with the Force and crushes the ribcage of Grievous, and that's why he coughs. And I like that little detail that they added into the film. For this part, I want to talk about 2 Easter eggs / cameos. So the first one is just after that opening scene, right when Anakin and Kenobi get back to Coruscant. Right after that ends, it'll show a ship that's transporting them to a, I guess it's like, I don't know what they'd call it. I'm gonna basically say it's like, a train station or something. I don't know why the word's actually blanking in my head. But as they're flying in, right before the scene transitions to another, in the bottom right, you can actually see the Millennium Falcon starting to land. And I actually like that tidbit. I thought it was really cool. The other one that they have, which I really do not like, is that they have Chewbacca, a younger Chewbacca in this film. And I don't understand why. He had no use in the film. All he did was grunt a couple of times, and I guess somehow he had a relationship with Yoda. I don't know, it's weird. I especially love how compelling the story is, especially with the manipulation of Anakin from Palpatine, just how he messes with his mind psychologically, and then just the turn of events, like actually causing Anakin, or manipulating Anakin to actually begin to distrust the Council, like suggesting that he should be a master. The Jedi Council saying that you can be on the Council, but you're not going to be a master. And then the Jedi Council telling him to spy on Palpatine, and then Palpatine knowing, they're going to make him spy on me. And then just stuff like that. I loved it. It was, like I said, compelling. I can't think of a better word than that. Now, my favorite scene in the entire film, hell, it may actually be the best scene in the entire film, is the scene where I think they're in the Senate chambers, and there's some kind of concert or some kind of circus thing going on. It's mostly known as the Opera House scene. It's where Anakin goes to meet Palpatine because Palpatine wanted to give him some news about the war effort, and then they start talking, and Palpatine basically suggests that the Jedi Council asked Anakin to spy on him, which we already know he did, or they did. But the reason why I especially love this scene is because it's very well acted. It's the best scene in the entire movie as far as acting performances. It gives us a bit of Star Wars mythos with Palpatine telling Anakin the story of Darth Plagueis, and just even subtly hinting that he's also telling a slight origin about himself, Palpatine is. I also love how he used the story to manipulate Anakin into maybe learning more about the dark side, because Darth Plagueis was known to have power over life and death, which Anakin really wants because he keeps getting visions of his wife dying. Personally, I thought that the battle between Obi-Wan and General Grievous was a little corny to some points, but my favorite part of the battle is where, I think, yeah, Obi-Wan loses his lightsaber. So there's a part where he actually opens up the rib cage of Grievous, and he picks up a blaster nearby him and shoots him in the heart. And then, while walking by General Grievous's corpse, he looks at the blaster and says, "So uncivilized." And I love that little nod to the line in A New Hope. I'm trying to remember what it was. It was like, not as clumsy or random as a blaster. An elegant weapon for a more civilized age, when he's talking about the lightsaber. I loved it. It sends chills up my spine because, you know, I'm a big fanboy. Shit like that's gonna get me really happy. Another one of the best scenes in this film Another one of the best scenes in this film, which also, like I said earlier, Hayden Christensen is really good as Anakin Skywalker when he doesn't say anything, when he just focuses on his facial expressions or his body language to, you know, compel the story forward. There's that scene where he's sitting in the Jedi Council chambers, and he's just staring off into the horizon, and he's contemplating, you know, how everything's gonna go from here on. And even Padme's doing it, and it's almost like they're looking towards each other, like they know something's wrong on both sides. And it's hauntingly beautiful. Even the music here is very eerie. I loved it. So as I said before, some of the lightsaber battles are actually really good. There's one that I really don't care about, and it's when Mace Windu and a few Jedi Masters actually confront Darth Sidious. The entire time that they're actually fighting, it's mainly a CGI head of Ian McDiarmid on top of a stunt double, and then when they actually show Ian McDiarmid in there, he's doing stuff like making weird ass faces. It's really stupid. And then CGI Ian McDiarmid is like doing backflips and front flips and then like twirls in the air and shit. It looks really stupid. One big nitpick about this film that I have is the actual fall of Anakin Skywalker, where he turns into Darth Vader. It seemed way too quick, because he just cuts off Mace Windu's hand and then says, basically, it looks like he's regretting it, and then he's like, "I pledge myself to your teachings." And while he's saying it, he sounds drunk. I don't know. He sounds drunk. Why? I understand the motivation behind it, and I understand the manipulation that Darth Sidious did on him, but it was just too quick. And also, why didn't Anakin just block Mace Windu's lightsaber instead? Why did he have to cut off his hand? Especially, I feel like if they had actually maybe had a little duel right before Mace Windu died, I feel like the scene would be just a little bit more complete. And then maybe during their actual battle, maybe Anakin could actually give into his anger and then actually become Darth Vader in that scene. Like, not physically, not the big hulking robot that we see in the original trilogy, but just a Sith Lord. One other thing that I hate about this scene in particular is where Palpatine, his Force lightning is getting deflected back into his face. Wouldn't any normal person would be like, "How does my face look? Oh god, I'm ugly." But no, he just goes through it. It's like, no, nothing. Now, we already knew that he was gonna eventually look like that anyway, but you would think that there'd be more shock when he found out that he basically looks like a monster. The scenes where Order 66 has been executed and the clones are actually turning on their Jedi companions was very effective. I especially loved the scene where it's on Megiddo, the snowing planet, and Ki-Adi-Mundi is leading a bunch of clones, and they stop in their tracks, and the first part, it just focuses on their boots, and you can hear their guns raising, getting ready to fire. And you can see the emotion on Ki-Adi-Mundi's face because he doesn't understand what's going on. And from what I saw, he didn't even have time to prepare. Like, right when they fired the first shot, he was still standing there. He was being more defensive than offensive. Actually, I don't even think there was an offensive part of that thing. He barely had time to defend himself before he went down. And then there's that scene where Anakin kills the younglings. I felt the same way with this scene as I did with the Sand People scene in the previous film, where you actually see Anakin really go dark, but it's cut short. I kind of wish that they would have shown him actually fight a few of the younglings, maybe even kill them. I know it's a PG-13 movie, and the movies are geared more towards, like, 12-year-olds, as George Lucas said recently at Star Wars Celebration. And I kind of wish that they would have maybe panned the camera a certain way to where you didn't actually see him kill anybody, but you could tell he was killing somebody. I felt like that would have actually made the scene more enjoyable for me. Well, not enjoyable. You get what I mean. One other thing that I loved about this movie, I know that they still had a lot of green and blue screen rooms, but they actually had physical sets made, like Palpatine's office, the Alderaanian cruiser, maybe, I think the actual control center on Mustafar was a physical set. Anyway, you could tell, it was beautiful. For the last thing that I wanted to talk about was more on the climactic lightsaber battle. I know that I'm going all over with this, but like I said, it's mainly in random order. But the actual lightsaber battle, while it was great to watch, and I actually felt an emotional connection, it really wasn't as compelling as I wanted it to be. It was choreographed to the level of absurdity, and I felt like I needed a bit more during, like, if there was a little bit of conversing in between the battles, just like the battle in Empire. I felt like I would have been more tuned into what was going on. But no, they decided to leave all of the dialogue for the end after the battle was over. And I wished that a lot of these lines were actually used during the lightsaber battle. To recap, this is a really good film. I was actually really impressed with it, and just watching it again, so close to now, compared to back when it first came out, it actually helped. I actually found myself enjoying the film a bit more. It actually had a very compelling story, and we actually got what we wanted. We wanted Darth Vader. We did get Darth Vader. Even if he was even if the actual mechanical beast didn't come until the very end, we still got Darth Vader. And sure, it still suffers from things like the dialogue, sometimes the CGI is horrible, and just the romantic side, it still sucks. So hooray, we got through the prequels, thank God! Now we get to go into the part that I really enjoy. Now we're gonna go into the time of the Galactic Empire. So originally, for the next video, I was actually gonna do A New Hope, but a few friends actually knew that I started reading one of the newer Star Wars canon novels, and they asked me to do a review on it. So I actually already wrote the script, I just need to shoot the video. But my next review will be on Timothy Zahn's Thrawn. Anyway guys, thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed the video. If you'd like to see any more of my Star Wars reviews, or just movie reviews in general, please check out my channel, and if you haven't already, please click on the subscribe button down below. I'll see you guys next time. May the Force be with you. Bye.